He's like, well, it's just like, I never thought about it that way. Well, actually, no, he would have thought about it that way. He's like, well, most of the time outside depends on what class you're in, like socioeconomically. Because if you're a farmer, you're probably gonna marry like another farmer, unless you're, I don't know, super classy, like my mom. Because my dad met my mom, and like she's not noble, she's just a classy druid lady, and fell in love and decided they want to be together. So like, would he have had more assets if he married some noble lady? Yeah, but he just decided that it was more important to be with my mom. And
I'm surprised they had that kind of choice.
Well, from my understanding, like historically, basically he's like, okay, well, I mean, he's like, look at Burgess. And like, you look around and everyone there is like super rich and like buff, and there's like wild, and you know, there's these giant horse-sized dogs.
She just smiles.
He's like, I mean, what could they say? Like, you can't marry her, or you know, like, I mean, we're the, like, I mean, to be honest, we're a huge part of the military force for the Leicester Kingdom. So, they kind of didn't have a choice. Also, the Leicester Kingdom's been kind of up and down for a long time. A lot of splits, a lot of unifications, reunifications. It just went under King Willem and has been renamed the Leicester Kingdom. And like a couple, like, it's very recent. This is a very recent thing. But he's been pushing to, politically, to like let that be less of a thing. Especially, since it just causes a lot of problems in his opinion.
We don't actually know our mom's family.
Yeah, but we don't actually know my mom's family, and they took it pretty hard, I guess. So she doesn't talk about him, hasn't seen him in, I don't know, 20 years.
Well, that might have been her choosing. Kiara,
Yeah.
by the way, when he's explaining that other people that were not of a higher class would say no, she got confused. And so she's like, oh, she's listening, so she's just like, oh, lower class would have a thing to say about it. And because she understands, like, the only people who could really stop a marriage from where she's from would probably be anyone who was in a higher position to gain from your marriage. Because it's all contractual. It doesn't have much to do with love, because you could find love outside. So for her, she's just like, interesting, like, set of events up here.
He's like, yeah, well, I mean, the other thing is, we tend to only have, like, one spouse, so that kind of merges into one person.
She sort of raises her eyebrow. Well, of course, you only have one spouse. Well,
he's like, well, I mean, it's kind of like, what's the word? Polyamory is not like super popular here. I mean, I'm sure people like do it, but it's like more or less taboo. So, and I hear, it's not so much the case in travel places.
And she's just like, oh, you marry for gain. You sometimes find interests in others, but and she's just like, oh, if it happens.
I guess the gains, in our cases, love. He kind of like looks up wistfully.
And Kiara just sort of looks up like, where is it? Like,
oh yeah, so,
right.
And then, you see Brackus ride up, and he's the, like, stern. You rode with him, Kiara, earlier.
Yes!
And he rides up, stern, no-nonsense fellow, and he comes up to Lionel, and he's like, because, you're either, like, close to the edge of their land, or still on it, and he rides up and says, Lionel. He hands him this paper, and Lionel takes it and looks at it, and he's like, groceries, dude! And he's just like, Lionel, we all gotta pull our weight here. You can get some groceries. Your father's busy, your grandmother's busy, Luna's sick. Pull together. It's just like, fine. Like, stuffs it in his shirt pocket.
Yeah, I found that funny. So she's like,
and he nods to the rest of the group of ladies, and then he runs off.
If he's slow enough, she does pet the dog.
Oh yeah, he had to stop to give him the list.
She's like, hello.
Yeah. I think his dog's name is Rusty.
I think it was Rusty.
Yeah, he appreciates that.
Hmm.
And okay, we'll jump back to Luna now.
Okay.
Afton cringes, pulls out his drums. Well, I'm not especially proud of how I acted during this time. But it's a big change and it was really fast. He shifts in his hands. He like moves his hands, and then suddenly the fogs turn into a tavern. It's warm, and you can, from the look of it, it's one of the old wings of the Hunter's Lodge. And Afton says, you know, I had a good thing going. I had fans, I had people who would come and hear me sing for miles around. And in the tavern you see this stone floor with rough-hewn chairs, a crackling hearth in the center, and the small area soon becomes crowded with people who are excited, and they're talking, and drinks are pouring. You can smell the scent of roasted meat with butter and spices and cinnamon sweet baked goods. And Afton stands in the center of the room. Everyone looks at him expectantly as the crowd quiets and the hearth illuminates him from underneath. As he begins to sing, and his warm tenor voice fills the room as the crowd anxiously quiets. Men with hefty pelts and thick arms hush each other, women whisper, the children still. And he begins to strum on his harp before leaping to the ledge of the hearth, where he walks. It's a pretty big ledge, just saying. He walks slowly around the crowd and looks them in the eyes, and with a grin he starts to strum. One night, the shadows grew. One night, blood ran chill. As ghastly villains sweep the air, and specters of fear grasp the soul. One night, a scream was heard. One night, till the victim fell. The cries of a town heard all around, and a pool of blood lay on the ground. A lady most pure and white was slain in ghoulish delight. Who would do such a crime? Who could kill the sublime? Was it the wolfish foes who stalked the night? The claws of men feel by jealous hands. The frightful darkness that forever stands, or the devil's tongues that actions ignite. One night, the shadows grew. One night, a bargain struck true. Afton finishes the chord and takes a bow. The crowd erupts into an applause. Coins clatter into his bucket of chips, and drinks flow freely in his name. Afton performs a number of pieces after that, and the crowd eagerly drinks in his performances. After he finishes, the crowd rushes him. They shower him in compliments. The energy of the room. Afton is very much extrovert as he just sucks all this energy in and is just glowing, beaming. He's having the time of his life. He absolutely loves this. And this human male in a fine tunic approaches him. It's blonde with some gray in it. And he says, Afton, that was quite the show. Oh, thank you. Haven't met you before. Perhaps. I am Bertrand Belleport. From the capital, with some of the human kingdoms united. I was hoping to start a school of sorts. A bardic school. And I was hoping that you would come with me to tour the country and collect students. And then be a teacher at this new school. And you see Afton just gawk. And, wow, will you pay for my travel expenses? And between you and me, I'm kind of working off my drinks, you know? And Bertrand laughs a hearty chuckle and pats Afton's back. Say, you take some time to think about it, and I'll be, think it over. I'll be in town for a few days. And the tavern fades.
Is Kristen coming back?
I hope
I
so.
hope she didn't go out to
so.
get the famous carton of milk. It could take 17 years to come back.
No, she missed my song. I was bummed about that.
She also missed the marriage talk. I really would have liked her to weigh in on that. That was fun.
Yeah.
Chianti, I am all sorts of perturbed.
Yes.
Unless she was like, wow, man, those clouds.
Those clouds, man, wow.
Maybe she was the one that was into the clouds.
Yeah, she said she'll be AFK for a bit.
Aww.
I don't know.
So the tavern fades and it opens to a scene of Afton and Kira arguing. Kira arguing. The room appears to be one of the ground. The room appears to be one of the ground floors of your grandmother's manor, and you see Kira hold up these papers and slap them and be like, "Afton, you can't go. I need you here. I can't run Fergus alone." And Afton says, "It's the best opportunity I'll ever get. And besides, you have Lionel. Like, you can handle it." And Linus. Yeah,
Sorry,
Linus. Yeah, sorry, you put 2 lion names down for me, man. You have Linus. And she's like, Linus is retired. It's not his responsibility to do this. And they keep arguing. And you watch it until it fades and it just kind of grows into a muffle. And you hear Kira's present voice say to you, "Yeah, well, the arguments grew worse and it almost tore us apart." Afton says, "I was ready to go, but then our son Elvin was born." So it's E-L-V-A-N.
Yes.
Elvin, yeah. So, and you see just this image of this new baby boy. It's been like a couple days probably, and Afton says, "I took one look at him and I decided I need to stay." And you see the family of Kira, Afton, and Elvin gathered. Clearly after the birth, because she's not unconscious or in pain or covered in blood.
Yeah.
We had our... It's a beautiful scene. We took time and a lot of uncomfortable conversations, but we managed to work out the kinks in our marriage. And Kira kind of rolls her eyes. Yeah, most of them. She leans over. He still left the toilet seat up. Or like some equivalent to that. Like this little thing.
He just leaves the outhouse open. We're not sure why.
Yeah. I mean, it airs
Airs it out!
It airs it out! And we don't need to Aaron, don't we want to keep the smell in?
Want to keep the bugs out.
Yes, let's keep the bugs out.
Yes, exactly that. Anyway, and they like they look at each other and they're like, it's fine, you know, like in the past. And
They still have this
There's
argument.
we had our second child, Feyre. The joy was short-lived as words of fiends in the forest started to circulate. No one really took it seriously. We just thought kids saw a bear or a moose or, you know, making up stories. And then you see another scene where Kira's in her nightgown and Afton's next to her. He's just holding her hand really tightly, and there are these hunters holding just this mutilated corpse of one of the rangers who was a white-haired moon elf. And they're a minority subrace, if you're curious about that. But she had met a clearly brutal and agonizing end, and just terrible, violent death. And Kira is absolutely floored by this, and there are 2 other corpses that are just the same. And Afton says Kira became pretty reserved after that, and well, no one really knew what to do because we couldn't track or find the fiends. And then things got worse when our youngest, is it Modana?
Yeah.
Modana became ill, and I think it had something to do with the fiends. She got corrupted by them somehow, because the doctors had no idea what was wrong. Nothing we did worked, and she died a slow, agonizing death at the age of 3. And you see just this scene of Kira holding her child and sobbing profusely and just lamenting loudly as she screams and cries. And Afton, he is someone who draws in to he just kind of shuts down. Like, you see him just like not even processing it. And Kira says to Luna, I fell to despair, and life was numb, and I felt empty and worthless. But Afton, Linus, and my living children, Feyre and Elvin and Alice, bore me up. And you see her. She appears before you. You've just been kind of like hearing her, and then she grabs your shoulders and says, Luna, you must kindle the light. I lost all of my hope after Madonna died, but hope isn't born, it's in despair. It's born. And next to her, these 4 more personages appear as Elvin, Feyre, Alice, and Madonna appear behind her. And Madonna is the only child that you've seen in this dreamscape memory place. And they all appear. And Kira says, we believe that if you take vows or adhere to tenets, that it can empower you. And a tenet that we have in our family is kindle the light. But through your acts of mercy and kindness and forgiveness, you kindle the light of hope in the world, of beating back despair. And they look at you and say, Luna, will you take this vow?
Yes. But does this have something to do with my lycanthropy, or?
We believe that as your heart changes, that the lycanthropy will be essentially beaten back.
Okay. All right, I'll do it.
Okay. And so she says, will you kneel?
She'll kneel.
Okay, yeah. Then the family forms a circle around you, and they place one hand on your shoulder, and they place the other hand on one of the other shoulder, and they form a circle. Modana's also part of the circle, but she floats, so that's how she does that. Has a small child who can't, who's in a stall. And Kira says, by the will of the Arno bloodline, we seal this vow upon your shoulders that you may proudly bear the light and bring hope to the world. And as you stand and accept this, you can feel this warm light just filling you as the hope that they basically like pour into you kind of like beats away some of the fears that you had. And you now have paladin abilities up to level 3.
Okay.
Yeah. Paladin!
Sweet paladin.
Yeah. And you spend, I'll say that you actually spend some time with them, especially with actually Afton, because he's the one that actually teaches you how to use charisma to use spells.
Okay.
Yeah. And so it's actually enjoyable because you get to actually know these people, and you see the kind of like you know how in families there are these streaks of personality that remain true.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're like, you are my family, and you get that sense that, yeah, this is your family. And you also learn that some of the songs that you grew up and knew are songs that actually originated with Afton. You just didn't know that they originated with him.
Oh.
So, that's kind of fun.
Good for him.
Yeah. And after that, after you're done and you spend time with them, you see them stand and they start to fade. They say, we're always with you. And the bodies fade, and you can see just personages all around you. So you recognize Lionel and Elfrida, who taught you before, the people you met today, and you notice that many of them, amongst these many people, are strong, proud dire wolves. One in particular catches your eye with a lofty, beautiful white mane, and your eyes meet this wolf, and you hear the name Luna being called to you. And oddly, the dog also looks around expectantly at the name Luna, and you wake up.
Okay.
You wake up
Is that Grandpa's dog that I was named after?
We named the dog Indiana.
Work.
So you wake up on the floor of the mausoleum, and your grandmother and father are kind of leaning over you, like, Luna, are you okay?
I just imagine her,
And then,
or something.
yeah, she's just and then you hear just this, mama bear voice saying, move, as Jade comes into view, and she just picks you off the ground and hugs you tightly. And she's like, oh, Luna.
You're back.
It's just I'm so sorry I couldn't be here when you got back. I just insisted that I stay at the trial for my unique view. It's just kind of rolls her eyes. Well, because I'm
just like, you weren't even there.
Well, I wanted you to be there, but I told them you were very ill, which is kind of true, and could not come, and that I didn't know where the others were, which is also true because I didn't know. And she just does the mom things where she fixes your hair and her you just take in. She has green eyes, right?
Yeah.
I imagine, yeah, wild green eyes. Just kind of look over you, and she hugs you again. And while you're just smushed against her breast, you notice that her Mylukia druidic totem has quietly been replaced with a Hephaestus totem.
Aww.
And Hephaestus, the druidic goddess of motherhood.
Aw, you're so supportive. That's like ultra supportive.
Yeah. Ultra supportive.
You're me, my daughter. Screw you, God.
Yes, I'm gonna worship someone else at the Pantheon. So. Yeah, and,
You left her in her time of need. How dare you?
How dare!
I'm gonna speak with a different manager now. We don't shop here anymore. Putting the shop in worship. What? Nothing. I'm so sorry. That's sweet, though.
Oh my gosh, that's too good.
Yeah, she, Luna, you are mentally tired, but physically you've just been lying on the ground.
Mm.
And you're kind of getting used to this change of things and of like information being forced upon you.
Mm-hmm.
So like you're like really brain tired. Your body's like okay, and so basically all of you get up and start going back to the house. You tell Anita to make some honeyed floral tea.
Me caffeine.
And I'm sure they have a plan with caffeine that they can put in that Jade grows. And Jade, a lot of names. Jade goes on to say, well, the court wanted me to stay because of my unique position, because I am married to a human noble, but also part of the elven principalities, kind of. Shrugs, but basically, what's happening is that the elven courts didn't want to step on the toes of the drow matriarchy too much, which is unfortunate. That old toad of Elios, Trina's father, I pity that poor child. That man is terrible. He came with one of his sons, I think. He looked a lot like him. Poor kid. Just kind of like, poor kid was scared of his own shadow. But anyway, the elven principalities have decided to essentially take I think it's called this is Tiffany. I think it's called a plea bargain, where basically the drow were like, look, we're kind of sorry this happened, but we don't see it as a legal problem, so we'll compensate you. And the Velios agreed to take the compensation, and his compensation would be a new wife. So.
They were trying to keep you, was it?
What?
Luna's like, that's not why they were trying to keep you, was it?
She's like, oh, I hope not. But no, he wanted a new wife from the drow.
Oh.
She's like, yeah, it turns out they picked some woman named what was it? Brayden? Deirdre Brayden.
Brayden. Deirdre.
Do you know her?
Yeah. We stayed with her. We're in there.
Oh. That would explain why they picked her.
Yeah, we know Deirdre.
It's Eric's mom.
Yeah. Wasn't she on house arrest? How's this going to affect her ankle brace?
Oh, yeah.
You've been pardoned. Now we
basically-
passed you on to someone else.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically,
You're free,
like,
but you're someone else's problem.
Yeah, like, the drow basically are like, you started this problem, you're gonna finish this problem. And so, you don't know, that's like essentially what's been proposed to happen.
Okay.
That's the two.
I didn't
And
for a wife.
well, he wanted a noble woman who was a mage.
Sure.
And yeah, it seems he wants. I mean, she's just like, ugh, that poor woman. She kind of gags a little. poor woman. He probably wants to breed and have more magic children with him. And they all kind of
topsiders. They don't understand what they're buying. They never understand what's going to happen.
He just has to growl like he did with his other kids, and just.
Anyway, the Elven Principality is actually kind of into it because they're hoping that this union will help ties between the matriarchy and the principalities. It's just kind of like, which I don't know, maybe it could, but also, oh gosh, it's just like, ew, I don't. It's just like, have you met Avelios? He's terrible.
I was with Tarina for a while. I heard stories.
It's just, and we'll say at like this point, Luna, if you want to, you can go and look for the other party.
Yeah, I think I would look for them.
You find the boys instead, and they take you on a different adventure. We're partying!
Hi, this is Tiffany, your DM. Thank you for watching Dungeon Damsels. This is not the end of the session, so please stay tuned for the next part. We update on Tuesdays and Saturdays at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you're interested in supporting us more, please push the subscribe button, like, or comment. We also have a Patreon, wink wink nudge nudge, and our show is in podcast form. You can find us on Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Podbean, Spotify, and plenty of other podcast platforms. Thanks, we hope to hear from you soon.